The Azerbaijan Grand Prix was flawless for the McLaren team. Although Norris had a disappointing qualifying session on Saturday, he could not have hoped for better for his performance on Sunday. Even Oscar Piastri managed to drive perfectly to get past Charles Leclerc and win the race. McLaren has also taken the lead in the Constructors Championship after the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. However, with this success, McLaren faces a new problem concerning their drivers. Throughout the year, McLaren were criticised for not prioritising Lando Norris as he had a better shot to win the Drivers' Championship. Coming into the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, McLaren team principal Andrea Stella made it clear that from this weekend onwards, the team will be biased towards Norris to help him win the championship against Max Verstappen. Here's what Andrea Stella had to say on the decision to implement team orders. "We will bias our support to Lando because we want to do it without too much compromise on our principles," team principal Andrea Stella said. "Our principles are that the team's interest always comes first. We want to be fair to both drivers. What we don't want to see anymore is a situation like in Monza in which we enter a chicane P1, P2 and we exit P1, P3 because that is a detriment to the team." The conversations with Oscar have been very collaborative. Even when I say to Oscar, "Would you be available to give up a victory?" he said, "It's painful, but if it's the right thing to do now, I will do it." Every driver is hardwired to go for a victory, so I am very impressed by the level of team spirit and maturity and collaboration that we have found in this period. But with how the Azerbaijan Grand Prix has played out, and the current forms of Red Bull and McLaren, it looks as though both the papaya drivers have a shot to beat Max for the title, so now McLaren will need to rethink their stance on team orders. After the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Norris is still 59 points behind Verstappen. Piastri, on the other hand, is 91 points behind the Dutch driver. Given that Red Bull and Verstappen's recent form, Piastri has a good chance of surpassing Verstappen in the championship as well. Obviously, between Norris and Piastri, the former is a lot closer to Verstappen. However, Piastri has been in better form in the last few races, and his performance at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix was more than impressive. At Baku, McLaren was not the fastest car on the grid. Despite that fact, Piastri managed to qualify second for the race and pulled off an impressive overtake on Charles Leclerc, who did not see it coming. He then protected his position lap after lap until the checkered flag. He pulled off some of the best defensive manoeuvres the sport has ever seen during the second and final stint of the race. But for Piastri to win the championship, he has to close the gap to the Dutch driver by an average of 13 points per race. This may be possible as Verstappen's average finishing position of the season since the Spanish Grand Prix has been 4th, which earns him 12 points in total. Given that the winner earns 25 points, the point differential will be sufficient for Piastri to be able to catch up to Max. Coming to Norris and Piastri, the gap between these two drivers is only 32 points. If Piastri finishes ahead of Norris consistently for the rest of the season, there is no doubt that he will be in front of the British driver by the end of the season. So given that Piastri has better momentum, he also has a good chance of challenging Verstappen for the championship. Now McLaren has to make a very difficult decision. Should they stick to prioritising Lando Norris since he is closer, or should Piastri and Norris compete against each other since the momentum is with the Australian driver? While McLaren figure out a solution to this problem, they could be facing another issue from the FIA. After the Baku Grand Prix, fans noticed something fishy about the McLaren rear wing, especially the one on Piastri's car. While going at high speeds, there was a small opening on Piastri's DRS flap. Many labelled this the mini DRS, and there was speculation on whether it was legal or not. Just recently, the FIA tested the front and rear wings of all the F1 teams and deemed it all to be legal. When it comes to the rear wing in Azerbaijan, it is still unclear if Piastri's wing is legal or not. There is also a possibility that the DRS flap was malfunctioning. The regulations state that the design is such that failure of a system will result in rear wing flap returning to its design position. If this was not a DRS failure, then the FIA will have to investigate to check if the flap was flexing over the limit or not. We can expect one of the McLaren's rivals to lodge a protest against this rear wing. This will allow the FIA to investigate it. Going into this weekend in Singapore, McLaren will definitely have a lot on their mind. Now that they have taken the lead in the Constructors Championship, should they continue to give Norris a priority to help him beat Max Verstappen, or should they treat both their drivers equally since Oscar may also have been able to beat Verstappen, as he has been in form in these past few races? There is also the concern of the legality of McLaren's rear wing, but that is something for the FIA to check and give a verdict on. McLaren can just wait and hope that nothing is illegal about their car. Do you think McLaren should continue to prioritise Lando, or should they treat their drivers equally? Also, do you think McLaren's rear wing was fair at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix? Post your thoughts in the comment section below.